Hey everybody, this is Jason Ostrowski, and welcome to another edition of the Everything Real Estate Podcast. I thought this week we would get into a little bit about real estate technology, and who better to have a conversation with about real estate tech than our own Senior Vice President of Digital Marketing and Innovation. Many of you know him, many of you get to talk to him frequently, and for those of you who may be new to Fox Roach, make sure that if you have the opportunity to talk to this person, you definitely do. His name is Rajeev Sajja, and whenever I have a conversation with Rajeev, I feel like, number one, I learn something new every time I talk to him. And number two, you can feel his positive energy and you can feel his excitement about what's out there in terms of technology and real estate tech specifically, and what he can do to help our agents get the most out of their business using the tools and technology at Fox Roach. So let's get into it with the master of tech himself, Rajeev Sajja, and we'll talk on the other side. He is an all-around rock star. He is the man, the myth, the legend, your friend and mine, Rajeev Sajja. Rajeev, it's good to have you on.
Jason, I've never heard an introduction like that, but I appreciate it. But I just work here, and I am excited to work with agents like you. So
I'll tell you what, I know you're always in demand, so I was really happy that you decided to come on this week, because there are definitely some things that I wanted to talk to you about, and some exciting things that are happening within the company as far as what we're rolling out to the agents. The first thing that comes to mind is, during this COVID process, one of the things that I think has come out of it is that your video is much more, and your 3D tours are much more important to your business, more than they ever have been before. And what people see online and what people can kind of tangibly touch or feel like they can touch online is far more important than maybe the photos were before. Now it's more important that you do have that interactive tour. You have that video that goes through the house. They can see the layout. They can see the flow of the floor plan. And so, segueing into that, I wanted to touch base about, our new program that we have called Astor Room. And I was hoping maybe you could first talk about that to start things off.
That's great, Jason. Yeah, before we get into Astor Room, I think it'd be worthwhile to take a step back and kind of talk a little about some trends we've seen in the last 6-7 months with COVID. If you look at the first trend, we studied traffic on foxroach.com for listings for the 6-month period from March through August. And we looked at listings that had some element of virtual engagement opportunities. And a virtual engagement is defined as a video, as you said, or a 3D. And photos are not virtual engagement. That's so like 1990, all right? So you should have good photos, and you should have really good photos. And so we looked at listings that had those video/3D and listings that didn't. And listings that did have those opportunities got 8 times more visibility with consumers coming to our website compared to listings that didn't. And therefore, the lead gen followed, et cetera. So that's a trend that much closer to home. The one that's national is Zillow shared. I was on a BHHS marketing forum call that Zillow shared this trend, or stats that they did for during COVID. Sellers want virtual, safe options to market and transact, buyers and sellers. So one of the key questions that's pertinent to this conversation is, how many of them prefer to interact virtually with a listing before they go see a property? During COVID, that number is 68%. And the same question was asked to the same audience. Post-COVID, do you like to see this? 63% said yes. We'd rather see something virtual, 3D tour, video that you do and several of our agents do before they get committed to go and seeing the property in some capacity. So the trends are here. I think the timing is right. And I think this is something that's going to stay with us post-COVID. And in a market where the listings are so few, what separates you from the crowd, right? It's the fact that you're actually doing them. So in an effort to do that, we launched Astor Room, as you mentioned. And I love watching 3D tours because outside of video, I know you do a good job on video, and several of our agents do. Unlike video, it allows you to go room by room and really look at the room at a 3D level. And Matterport is a technology that many of our agents are familiar with, and it is fairly expensive. Almost like agents say, okay, if this listing is priced above this price, that's when I'm going to do Matterport. Otherwise, I'm going to throw them 50 pictures and I'm done. But now we allow agents to embrace a very low cost, high quality 3D solution that literally you could do for every one of your listings. And that's where enter Ask Room. So Ask Room is a do-it-yourself option that an agent purchases a kit for $75. The kit comes for a lifetime warranty on the kit. And you literally do a tour in 15 to 20 minutes. And you submit it to Ask Room and they send it back to you. And the first tour is free. Any tour after that is $50. So compare 50 with 500 for Matterport, and you get a 2D floor plan that you mentioned floor plan earlier. So you get a dollhouse 3D tour and a floor plan hosted for 6 months. So it's a
no-brainer.
No-brainer. And we had a webinar recently, as you know, and one of the agents was so impressed with Ask Room, he's going to do it for all his rentals. Imagine actually doing 3D tours for rentals, right?
That part struck me as really important, right? Because you just talked about the cost of everything, and the hemming and the hawing and, kind of the clutching of pearls will be about the cost to do a Matterport 3D tour. And so it really only made sense to have a certain, to make it cost effective, you would be at a certain price point with the house or above. Chances are you would not do it on, a price point that's lower, especially rentals. I mean, if someone was doing 3D Matterport on a rental, I would check their head after a while to see.
Not a good businessman.
You are definitely not making it worth your while. So, I wanted to start with that because for the agents that weren't on the webinar yesterday, to see this in action, to see the product that you get for such minimal cost. And oh, by the way, you can actually do virtual staging through this program as well, which I find for the cost is just unbelievable what you're getting because, I use a site. I know a lot of other agents use a site called Box Brownie, which is very, very good at what they do, very cost effective. But if you can wrap everything that you're using to market a house into one with this tour, it really makes sense to do it. So agents out there, if you haven't watched the webinar, if you haven't heard of this, look into it. You can access it through ACE. Is that correct?
Yeah, and we, as many of the agents know, we have a company Facebook group. So the recording is there. So we stream everything there. So it's always sits there for all our company recordings. So they should go watch it and hashtag just do it, man. It's not hard.
Think of this as the start off as a public service announcement, right? We're trying.
That's it.
Trying to help your business. So, okay. So moving on past that, I wanted to just get into a conversation with you because you and I, at this point, I could say we go way back.
And we do, Jason.
I remember when we first used to hang out, we started a business group called the Young Professionals when we were still Prudential Fox and Roach.
I remember that.
And you used to crash our little party all the time. And I always loved talking about, what's around the bend when it comes to technology. What is going to be the next big thing in real estate tech? And so, how hard is it, first of all, in a position like yours, how hard is it to stay ahead of the curve in a world of technology and real estate that seems to be changing day by day? I mean, I remember when I started, we were using typewriters, and now it's like, I feel like I'm in the 1920s if I'm using a typewriter, So how is it to stay ahead of that curve? How hard is that?
It is hard. I mean, real estate is, there's so many companies that are saying we got the best technology. But, I think as an agent listening to this, if you can think about embracing the right technology, just because it's a gadget that comes down the path, how does it fit into your business mix? And embracing things that you could do on the go with your mobile phone. Imagine what our smartphones do today compared to the BlackBerries. My first phone was like a bag phone that I had to plug into a charger. Yep. And then I got my flip phone and I was like flipping so happy with the flip phone. and then a BlackBerry and I lost my keyboard. I was like having withdrawal symptoms and now like a smartphone. And the iPhone, I was telling agents the other day that, I have the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I don't feel the need to embrace the 12. Mm-hmm. Again, be an agent. If it satisfies your need, I feel like I need to skip versions. But to your point, though, I mean, you have to embrace the right technology and put the core of your business at the center of it, which is staying in touch with your sphere. I mean, it's interesting to me that I heard a stat that 77%, this is on a national level, 77% of our business comes from our sphere, but everybody tries to go to a shiny object. I want to generate leads. While is 77% of your efforts going towards your sphere?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of things that I'd like to focus more on the need versus the tech. And then once you have the need, the tech will come because there's enough tech that as a company we provide, as an agent you can source. And that's a part of our job to kind of bring you the best tech.
Yeah, and I think that's a great, fantastic point about just philosophically. I feel like it always works out, from agent relationships first, working out to supplement that with technology and not the other way around. We're not looking to use technology first if you can't build those relationships with your clients. And we see agents doing that. They may adopt, this tech, that tech, and they're not actually making phone calls to their clients or building that rapport with their people, and so first and foremost, that's the most important. I do think, however, that, and you and I were talking about this before we started recording, that I think the frustrating thing that I see in this business is that the adoption rate, like we have such great programs out there, and regardless of, we were talking about this brokerage says they have the best tech, or this one says they have the best tech, across the board in the industry, we see that the adoption rate of a lot of the technology is fairly low from agents. Now, that could be we like to say we're quote unquote too busy to learn. I like to say we're just being lazy about it. But, is that a frustration of yours that you have all this great technology out there and that the adoption rate is not what I think it should be? I don't know how you feel about it.
No, I think that's an industry problem of adoption. And I think sometimes we tend to put the focus on things that as a company, we believe we should pick a small set of tools. And as a company, as you very well know, that we have quite a few tools. So I say that it's different strokes for different folks. So like if you're really good with connecting with people and growing your sphere, all you need is maybe just a CRM that keeps you on track. You may not need email campaigns. If you're a buyer agent, you may not need an Astra Room. But if you're a heavy listing agent, you will need Astra Room. As a matter of fact, I mean, we do these webinars, and 10% of you that are listening to this thing will do anything with Astra Room. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're not concerned about everyone embracing it, but I think in a zero-sum game where there's only so many listings, Jason, you walk into a listing presentation, I walk into a listing presentation, and you're the guy that shows how the tech fits into promoting that listing. When I don't, you're going to win the listing.
Yep.
There's just no secret to that. So finding the right tech to complement your business is really the goal there. So tech for tech's sake is just waste of time. But having business goals, I want to grow my business. Okay, how do you grow your business? Here are some things that you could do to grow your business. And that's where tech comes in. And adoption is a big problem in the industry. And I know you've heard about early adopters. Like anything that's new, like I like to dabble in it. And that's just because I got that tech gene in me. Mm-hmm. But then there's some people that get it because it's valuable to their business. And that's the area that we want to play in, right? So as long as that is, we see about 20 to 30% adoption across the board after some time. Some get to 45, 50%. Like we're seeing that now with like email marketing with ActivePipe. We see that it's growing steadily because they see value. And if you can demonstrate value over time, people will learn.
Do you feel like it's almost, and maybe this, and let me go back and say, it's not just about maybe agents feeling lazy about something that maybe that was a little harsh there. I do think that sometimes we feel almost like it's going to a restaurant and you have a menu that is 5 pages long, right? Yeah. and it's almost paralysis by analysis. What do I use, right? And what do I need? I can't possibly learn everything under the sun. It's just too overwhelming. And so what you just said there is maybe you pick out a couple tools that you feel comfortable with that can really supplement your business and work on those. You don't have to use everything under the sun. Is that fair to say?
Totally. And one of the analogies, we're building something that'll help agents find the right tool for them, which is day in the life of an agent, right? So right now, Jason is working with buyers. I mean, you're consumed with like 4 buyers that you're trying to find a home for. So maybe then you'll embrace a tool like Real Scout to keep them updated on listing alerts. You don't need Astor Room yet till you get a listing, right? So I think it's the day in the life buyer, seller, prospecting. So we're going to build 3 journeys. So based on what journey you're looking for, we'll bring up the right tool for you. So that seems to be something that will help our agents comprehend what tool they need when they need it.
Yeah. And I always feel like in my business right now, what I want to focus on is trying to do more of the set it and forget it stuff, and supplement that with, the live stuff, phone calls, all that good stuff. But for me, like this year for me, Property Snapshot has been something that I get emails all the time from my clients. And I tell my friends, in the industry, in the company, in my office, Property Snapshot is great because it at least gets a conversation started, and so I had multiple people reach out to me, and I have multiple active clients right now just from Property Snapshot.
Wow.
And the newsletters that I put out, the e-newsletters, from Active Pipe, I think are they're great tools if you use them the proper way. And supplementing video with that is even better. If you put a video into your Active Pipe e-newsletter, or even just send out an email blast. Even if it's about a listing that you have that you can send to your seller just to prove that you are putting out video to other people about that property. I mean, that's a huge win for you as an agent,
Yeah, for sure. And, another way to look at this, we've been talking to a lot of agents recently, doing some consultations to see how we can sort of help them grow their business. And one of the questions I ask is, if I was a client of Jason Ostrowski, what would I get during the year? Okay, so look at a client connect calendar, right? Map out January through December. Maybe I'm about to get like some kind of a Halloween thing now, right? Next month at Thanksgiving. So you need to have a method to the madness to how you connect with your clients. And if people shouldn't be falling through the cracks, right? Your clients should be receiving something of value. So then you say, okay, I want to send them a market update. That's when you'll say, okay, what tool do I have that actually fills that need? And there you go with ActivePipe. And then maybe if they're a seller client, you put them on Property Snapshot. And I get your Property Snapshots, by the way. And I also get your mailers.
I was just going to ask you.
Since I live in a development that's not too far from your office.
I know I have you set up, and I always wanted to ask you the question.
Yeah.
Do you ever, because you must get stuff from agents throughout the company, right? That mail to you or you're on their mailing list.
Sure.
I feel like I need to apologize every time that I talk to you because I'm probably one of 100 people that mailed to you in your neighborhood. Does your family ever get sick of us, by the way?
You would be surprised how few I get.
Really?
Yeah.
I am shocked by that.
At least in the mail, I get very little. Email, another story. But in the mail, there's very little. But my point really there, to your point, is it's not just one shoe doesn't fit all. You got to look at print, if that's part of your business plan, emails, phone touches, and the best technology for me is a real estate agent. It's not the tech. The realtor, you are the best technology that anyone could have as a client. So you got to sort of leverage that component of it.
So do you think, in what we have, and maybe you already answered this question because it really just depends on where you are in your business. Like you said, if you have more buyers than you do sellers, if you have more listings than you do buyers, maybe that will correspond with what you should be using. But is there just, from a tech standpoint, you would be maybe more excited about certain programs than others, right? Maybe we have a lot of programs out there. Is there one thing that's kind of flying under the radar that we have that maybe you would want to see people use more or adopt more in their business because you see the potential of it? Is there something that comes to mind that we have out there right now that you would do, even if that's social media, maybe that's video on social media. I mean, what do you see out there that agents should be doing that maybe they're not?
I wouldn't say they're flying under the radar, but I think they can fly like really high if agents embrace it. One is Real Scout, just keeping in touch with market. Real Scout now has a market activity alert, so you can actually tell people is the market hot, not, kind of stuff you could do also. So that's one that sends them, especially if I'm a seller client of yours, you can send activity around my house, what's going on, right? That sort of thing. As you mentioned, specific to the property, home valuation, property snapshot, valuable, very valuable. Because the number one thing most consumers invest in is their home, right? Biggest asset they have. The next one is ActivePipe has tremendous potential. From an email marketing engine, you could automatically send market updates every quarter based on the frequency. You can ingest listings. They're just plug and play. And we're about to start to work on some content in ActivePlay that'll give agents good content that they can drag and drop and put them in there and set up good newsletters. So that's one. The other one that, this is a problem that has been plaguing our industry, Jason, as you probably would know. I mean, the stats say that 87% of consumers will use the same realtor again. We've all heard this stat. And in reality, that number is less than 20%.
Yeah.
Right? Or closer to 12% from what I heard. Now, why is that? Because A, they don't do a good job of staying in touch. They lose track because they don't have systems, client connect calendars, however they do it. And then, so the other tool that we launched is a Forever Concierge. That is a platform that is also a plug and play. And as you invite your clients to it, and you are, and that's another platform to share your vendors with your clients.
Yep.
So, I mean, how does somebody as a client, if I'm your client, Jason, getting an email is like, okay, I get too much email. And mail, how many people actually look at the mail, right? So meaningful engagement during a home ownership journey is very valuable. That's why Property Snapshot is better than the other two components I said, because it's about their home specifically. So Forever Concierge, the other day I had a leak. I think I texted you on something the other day. And I had my hot water heater break. And then I said, okay, who am I going? I mean, I have HSA home warranty, so that worked out. But then
nice plug there.
What's that?
I said, nice plug there.
Yeah. $75 for something that they spent $2,000 to fix.
Can't beat it,
Can't beat it, yeah. And I then took the time to convert my basement from carpet to tile. And going through that exercise, if you were my agent, Jason, and I had the Forever Concierge app with all the vendors I could ever select, that is true value. And it's free. No cost to the agent. And every professional agent has vendors that they recommend to their clients. Like if I texted you, you'd give me your handyman like you did. So all of that, I think that is an underutilized tool, although granted, we just launched it a few months ago. It is picking up steam as well.
Yeah. And it goes back to, I always think of the term, Larry Kendall says there's a flight to quality, and part of that quality is, like you had mentioned, providing value. And one of those valuable things, I literally just got off the phone before you and I got on. I literally just got off the phone with a client who needed a roofer or a stucco remediator, so I gave her both. And that's the advantage of, Forever Concierge. I mean, I see the value in that, and I think our clients will as well. So, I'm trying to update my vendors as I go along, you know. And then the vendor is notified too. I mean, the contractor, and I've had my vendors actually thank me, for adding them to their list, so they better not let me down. That's what I have to say.
And yeah, I mean, and they hold them to a high standard. And I think most people know that when somebody goes under contract, that seller or buyer get invited on behalf of the agent to the concierge. But all of us have past clients if you're in this business for a while. So if your vendors are in there, you can invite all your past clients and they can download the mobile app. And anytime they fire up the app thinking of anything about their home, your branding is there, top of mind. All of those things just flow from it.
Yeah. So along those lines, that's one thing where real estate is progressing, right? We become more like a concierge, Forever Concierge. But I mean, that kind of is the role of a real estate agent is kind of evolving. And we see that from, disruptors in the marketplace. Zillow's, doing a lot of disrupting nowadays. Where do you see the tech and real estate heading from here? What's on the horizon as we go into real estate within the next, 5 to 10 years? Where do you see everything going from here?
I think there's two things that are in my mind. Although we talked about forever concierge, our agents are forever agents, right? And I think the role of the agent, I think this is not new information, has become more of a trusted advisor to take people from when they want to buy a home to get them to the closing table with exactly what they want and shepherding them through the process, right? It's not about finding homes for sale. Yeah, okay, coming soon a little bit, but really consumers can find their own homes online. So I think the trusted advisor component is clearly something that everybody's sort of embraced. And the more you can sort of embrace that philosophy, that's good. The other piece I think we'll start to see more of going forward is this whole notion of predicting consumer behavior, right? You shop at Amazon. As I was talking to you here, I saw the Amazon Prime truck and drive through my neighborhood. No matter which day it is, it's driving. And, this whole artificial intelligence data has a way of sort of predicting who's likely to sell. And we're starting to see some things like that with tools like HomeSnap, with the Pro Plus option they have, where you can sort of see in a whole neighborhood who's more likely to list. Now, it's data, it's better than an opinion, but it's still some things that our agents would be natively used to now. Imagine if you could upload your sphere to a technology that would actually tell you, I think you should call Rajeev, he's highly likely to list. So things of that nature will start to embrace and it'll become part of our being. Mm-hmm. And I think those are the kind of techs that will embrace. Now it's sort of like a separate tech that you got to put into, if it kind of completely is woven into your daily fabric of how you manage your clients. I think that's the direction we're headed. We're already on that way. So, and I think the other thing consumers will demand, it's still a very stress-filled process for consumers, right? Mm-hmm. Buying a house, mm-hmm. getting a mortgage, doing title, insurance, inspection, your story, okay, all that stuff, right? I think consumers will demand more of a seamless process from the brand, the agent, the entity they're going to work with. So we're going to start to see some innovation or evolution in those systems.
Yeah. So let me ask you about that, to try and take away, give me an example of something that would de-stress, I guess, a potential client. Like what do you think, because obviously going through any transaction is stressful. The mortgage process alone is, that's.
I've been talking a lot about Domino's Pizza recently in mm-hmm. our internal discussions. I don't know if you've ever used the pizza tracker.
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, I don't know if it's still around, but anytime you order pizza from Domino's, it gives you a pizza tracker. And I've heard reports that it's really not a true tracker, but it sort of gives you, it calms the consumer down. Ordered pizza being baked, pizza being packaged, pizza being shipped. So, or driven to your house or whatever. So I think consumers should need to know where they stand at any given instant, ease of access to information, and really pulling all that stuff together. I'd love to see a real estate tracker of some sort that sort of pulls everything together, and a consumer can just look at a phone and say, oh, okay, I'm in stage 3 of 5, and stage 3 tells me I got to do these 3 things, or my agent's doing these 3 things. So information, communication, and ease of understanding of the process will alleviate that stress.
I think that would be fantastic, because one of the things that, that I always did with a buyer consult is we go over those stages, right, in depth. And I give them, a printout to leave with, or now in this day and age, it's all digital. I send them, my timeline. Yeah. But setting that expectation, I think, alleviates that stress, like you were talking. I think that's a great idea. I really do. I always wonder, Buffini always talks about how the relationships don't change, right? People that want to say that, real estate agents are going to go the way of the dodo, he thinks they're 100% wrong because it's a relational business. And I totally agree with them. People need help along the way. They need an expert to let them know, like you said, a trusted advisor. Do you anticipate in the future that someone online is going to try and, they're already trying, I shouldn't say that, but do you think they're going to make any headway when it comes to, are there going to be two segments of the market, right? Or are there going to be the ones that just strictly go for like the iBuyer or whatever it is, and potentially lose dollars and cents? Or do you still see, like we talked about, a flight to quality, a flight to the agents who actually know what they're doing, and in the end can help the client more?
Yeah, and I think, if you think about, there is going to be innovators, disruptors, however you want to call it, that come to the table. And this is like the early adopters. Some people are going to go down that path, but the market is so big and so vast that an agent that builds deep relationships with their clients adds value, continuously adds value. I don't think technology will ever replace a real estate agent, but I do think a real estate agent that doesn't embrace technology will be replaced.
Yes.
But you got to replace the right tech. You got to embrace the right technology, not all tech, right?
I agree 100%, just one last question. You're senior vice president. Is there a junior vice president?
That's just something that it rolled into 2020, man. I tell you. Sometimes I don't know if there's a senior, a junior, or a VP.
I was going to say, is that a reflection on your age or what?
I suppose it is in some capacity, but I'm just blessed to work with this amazing company and realtors like you.
Well, I'll tell you what, from day one, ever since we met, every time that I can steal a couple minutes of your time is an advantage for me. And I always appreciate talking to you, and you always give us some food for thought. So always good to talk to you, man. And look forward to sending you more mailers. So,
all right, there you go, Jason. I look forward to receiving them, and I'm seeing if you change your marketing strategy any bit, but thanks for having me, Jason.
That was the interview with Rajeev this week. I thank him for coming on the podcast, and I really can boil what we talked about down into the essence of one sentence that Rajeev said there. And that is, technology will never replace the real estate agent, but the real estate agent who does not embrace technology will be replaced. And I think that is absolutely true. I really hope that all of you are embracing what we have at our disposal, because, just going back 10 years, if you could look ahead to today and see what we can do with our real estate technology, I think a lot of you would be, salivating at the prospect of using some of the tools that we can offer. But yet the real estate adoption rate for technology in general across the board is fairly low. So I ask you this: what are you learning today, real estate technology wise, that is going to help your business tomorrow? Because really that's what it comes down to. We have to work in conjunction with technology. And I know a lot of agents feel overwhelmed by the sheer not only number of things that we can use in our business, but overwhelmed by learning a new tool. It's hard when we're busy, but we have to take that time. It is critically important for us to learn a new tool, learn a new technology. And the great thing is that we have a fantastic educational department that can teach us these things. And so my advice to you would be, take a new class for some new tool that you like and thought you may not have time to incorporate. Do it now before the beginning of the year and incorporate that into your business plan going forward. Maybe that should be one of your goals, is to learn something new, learn a new tool, and incorporate that into your business. That's our podcast this week. I hope that you'll join us in the future. We'll be back with new guests in a couple weeks. If you want to hear about a specific topic, as always, reach out to me at jason.ostrowski@foxroach.com. Until then, stay safe out there, stay selling, and we'll catch you next time on the Everything Real Estate Podcast.